we had a lot of people on our rookie roster, and I was leading the charge for the rookie class, and it because I was just like determined, and I believed in myself, and I made it happen. So even in business, when I discounted myself sometimes, oh, you're just an athlete, oh, you don't know much about business, this and that, just believe in yourself and make things happen. It's literally the truth. If you can tell yourself that, you really believe that, not just tell yourself that, but really, really believe it. I think anything is possible, so you can make it happen.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of the Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that has built several businesses into 7- and 8-figure companies, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where we help startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. And today we have another great guest on the podcast, and it's Steven Sylvester. And Steven, first of all, just as a complete side note, but he went to the U of U. I went to BYU. I feel like a little bit lucky that he's wearing. He's wearing U of U outfit. I don't have my BYU garb on, so I feel like I lost the competition already. But with that, so Steven grew up in LA, got a full ride to U of U, played football for him, drafted to the I think Pittsburgh in 2010, played for about 5 years until he had an injury, and then was trying to decide what to do from there, where to go. Did some nonprofit work with for a period of time and promoting leadership and leaders and improving society. And then decided that nonprofits are hard to make money off of, and was trying to figure out the next thing. So he liked barbershops, he liked haircuts, and he decided to go into kind of what I would describe as an Airbnb for cosmetology. So that's kind of a very quick overview of his journey, and we'll dive a bit more into it. But welcome to the podcast, Steven.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
So walk us through a bit of your journey. I mentioned you kind of grew up in LA, so maybe pick up from there and we'll have a good conversation.
Well, I grew up in Las Vegas.
Okay, I messed it up. I said LA. They both have L. They both start with L and A, so that's where I got it.
Right. There's a lot of Californians that come to Las Vegas and vice versa. So I definitely get it. But yeah, I grew up in Las Vegas. Fortunate enough to grow up in the same household as my 6 cousins and my older brother. So we had 8 kids in the house that my mom was taking care of. So it was a little chaotic, but extremely, extremely beneficial to my development. I did not lack in social skills at all. So it was awesome into that fact. We were all very heavily into sports, multi-sport people, whether it was soccer, track, baseball, basketball was our main sport. And then of course I grew into football. So, life was great growing up. In fact, I get married here in the next few days, and I'm in charge of the wedding slideshow. So I was going through old photos and just looking at, where I came from, what I've done is it's truly amazing to look back on those times to know that where your mind was, at that age. It's like, I didn't know what I was going to be when I grew up. I didn't know what my future lied ahead. Who knew that I would get a full ride football scholarship or play in the NFL? As a kid, you go to recess and you're like, oh, I'm playing for the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, I'm doing this and that. I'm Emmitt Smith today. I'm Deion Sanders. But to actually play at that level, and it was definitely a dream come true.
So walk me through. First of all, I'll give you my 30-second aside, and it has, other than you mentioned marriage. So the funny thing is, you mentioned it just gave me a flashback. So I've been married for 13 years now. Yeah, 13 years. I had to give it a second thought so I didn't mess it up. But we were going through pictures, same thing for you for a slideshow and doing all that. And it was actually my wife's dad that did a lot of that. He loves photography and that. And he was going through pictures from their side, that he'd taken of my wife over the years. And all of a sudden he saw a picture of me on a soccer team. And he was sitting there, well, this is Brooke, this is my wife's picture. Come to find out, we'd played on the same 6 or 7-year-old soccer team. Nobody in either family remembered it. It popped up in the middle, and we're like, wait, there she is, there I am. So we didn't meet again until college. We met at BYU.
Wow,
But it was just funny that, so you never know what you're going to have pop up in the pictures, because we had one where we played on the same Little League soccer team, had no idea until we got married. So
that's destiny. I like that. That's awesome.
all right. So with that as an aside, now jumping back to your story. So you played for U of U, and although they're the BYU rivals, still like to see you guys win. And you got drafted in. First of all, I can't remember. So U of U in 2010. Now you guys, U of U just dominates everybody. Was the football team still as good then as it is now, or what was where were you guys ranked at?
So BYU was a lot better when I played.
I know, sad day.
No, it was the definition of a rivalry. It came down to the last play every single year, except for our undefeated year when we played Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. I think we won by 20 in that game, but every year it was like there's a storyline. It's like, oh, John back to Harleen. Oh, 4th and 18 where colleague caught a pass. Or my senior year overtime with Max Hall to Andrew George. It all came down to like the last play as far as defining who won the game. But I don't know. My experience, I love playing at LaVelle Edwards Stadium. I love away games anyway because I love to hear the boos. I love the crowd. Like when I played for the Steelers, I loved going to Cleveland. Cleveland was never great, but their fan base, oh man, they didn't care if they won or lose. They would let you have it. So I love that atmosphere, that competitive atmosphere where nobody likes me, where it's kind of like the odds are against me. And so I kind of relish in those moments.
That's awesome. So, well, awesome. So now you played for the U of U during college, and then you got drafted to Pittsburgh, and you kind of said this was your dream. You know, I assume it's every football player's dream to make it to the NFL. It doesn't matter how long you play, how much time you get, just to make it to the absolute top of competition is kudos to you. It shows how well or how skilled you were. How was playing in the NFL for those years that you played?
Cloud nine. I get asked this question often, and it's like I don't have an answer. It was like my first year there, going through my years at Utah, and then my first year in the NFL, I went to the Super Bowl, and it was just like, is this how it's supposed to be? It just feels great. I mean, like we were winning. We were 12-4. It felt like we were unstoppable. Number one defense. Roethlisberger was killing it. We had Hines Ward, Antonio Brown, Rashard Mendenhall, Mike Wallace, Emmanuel Sanders, Heath Miller. Our offense was just amazing. And then our defense was the number one defense in the league. It's just, we felt like a juggernaut. And so I was like, is this how it is? And so as a rookie, you don't really see that adversity. And then, the first year you have so much success. So all of the other 4 years is kind of like, it's either Super Bowl or nothing. So, but literally my experience in the NFL was tremendous. I played with the best players that, you only dreamed of. When these guys were first getting into the league, I was in middle school for some of them. Like James Ferrier and I, we were in the same linebacker room. He got drafted in 1996. I was only 8 years old at that time. And so we were playing at this incredible, like I was a big Michigan Wolverines fan when I was younger. As far as football, it was Michigan Wolverines in Florida State. And lo and behold, Larry Foote was on the teams that I liked. So it was like I'm playing with guys that I've only watched on TVs that I loved. And it was just like it was a dream come true. Who thought that I would play with Ben Roethlisberger and Hines Ward and line up next to Troy Polamalu, some of these Hall of Famers. Dick LeBeau was my coach. Like it was, I just didn't believe where I was at. I was like, I'm dreaming it. I don't ever want to wake up. And so it was just an amazing experience to know that I put in a lot of work before the NFL to know that this is the pinnacle. This is the results of your labor. And so it was awesome. Something that I can always put on my resume and a conversation starter. So it's great.
Hey, I'm sure that it's a much better conversation start. When I tell people I'm a patent attorney, like, oh, that sounds boring. So you have a much better conversation starter than I do. So you did that. One aside, so I assume it's a misconception, but I'll ask anyway. Everybody that plays in the NFL is millionaires and you're set for life. Is that a true assumption or a myth?
It's a big myth. You just see the big contracts as far as there's just tons of other players there. Now, you do get paid good. There's no denying that. But if everybody was like, "Oh, you played in the NFL, you must have made millions of dollars," that's not true at all. In fact, the longevity, the actual length of a career, the average length of a career is just 2.5 years.
Really?
So, and then if you're at, just minimum salary, that's only $600,000 if you're active. If you're non-active, it's only like $200,000 in like a 2-year span. So this millionaire talk is not what everybody expects. But, once you get to a certain level, it's like all the things you've ever wanted in life are just now at your feet. People are throwing it at you as far as, look, here's an option. It's like, oh, crap, I have some money. Next year I could probably make a really good amount of money. So it's not like I'm going to be losing anything. And that's the mindset that goes on. It's like, I could spend $10,000 on this. I'll definitely get this back in a year. No worry about it. And next thing you know, it's like you get an injury and you don't have that money. So it's like, dang, I had plans on doing this and that. So I think what people's impression needs to be on, how well did you budget? How well did you take that money that you do have? Because you have money that you made in 2 years that people don't make in 5 to 10 years, right? So how did you make that last? Or how did you improve yourself to set yourself up for the future? Because most people are done with football by the age of 26, 27. And so it's like you still have a whole life ahead of you. And so it's like, how did you set yourself up to be able to be okay at 50, at 55, and at 60? Because it does. A lot of people say NFL stands for not for long, and so it's right. So it's like, how well did you plan? How well did you game plan? Or did you get greedy and just be like, I'm so good, I made it to this level. I don't have to worry about anything. It'll come to me just like everything else in life. But it's a lot of work that went into that, and people that lose focus on that as well as for not planning for the future.
No, I think that's very insightful, and I assumed it was a myth, but I thought I'd give you a chance to confirm that. So now you mentioned a little bit of career-ending injuries and those type of things. I think that's kind of where you got to as well. You played for about 5 years, and then you bumped in, or you had an injury that you had to then pivot and do something else. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, I got an injury. So my last year was with the Buffalo Bills. So I played my 5 years with the Steelers, and then I started the year with Buffalo. I got taken in right before training camp, and I got started, and I was starting for the Bills, so it was awesome. I was going to have a great year, and then all of a sudden we're playing the Panthers, and I'm chasing Cam Newton out of the pocket, and I go to hit him, and my defender actually hits him first. So I'm coming to hit him this way. My defender hits him this way, and just before I do, he nicks my knee a little bit. And it was like it's like a flick. That's what it felt like. So I didn't think anything of it. I was like, it felt a little weird. And I went and played the rest of the game. And then after the game, I'm like, my knee is killing me. But I was like, we got the Steelers next week, so I'm not really telling anybody anything. And so we play the Steelers. And then after the game, the doctor's like, this thing is 97% torn. My patella tendon was dangling down on my knee, and he's like, I don't know how you played this game. You said you've been feeling like this all week. Like, that's impressive as one, but your knee is torn. Like, that's what's going on. So I'm like, dang, I had to have surgery, had to rehab. I was training like crazy. Actually I felt like I was in better shape than I was before my injury. They fixed a lot of old stuff that was in there, some calcification buildup that was making things hard to operate in it. They cleaned all of that up, so I got a completely clean knee, and it felt better than it did before. But the NFL looks at things weird. So I think teams looked at my injury and what I had, and they were just like, people that have that injury don't come back. So I didn't even get another opportunity to go for a workout, to do anything for the next 2 years. So you kind of see that you got to get the feeling is like nobody's giving you any love, nobody's doing this and that, and it just sucked. So it was bad.
So now you do that, and I gotta imagine. I mean, that's got to be kind of the polar ups. Is on the one hand, you've got cloud nine. You get to make it to the NFL. You get to play for with the players you've always grown up watching and everything else. And then you get an injury, and and you're taken out, and they won't give you another shot, and you have to figure out what do I do next. So how did you kind of pick up from there? How did you make the transition, or where did you go from there after you kind of saw that with the NFL you weren't going to get another shot to come back, even if you were in better condition? What did you do?
Right. So I took that. I took that as I probably wouldn't get another chance in NFL. Just in case it happened, I still stayed in shape. So I tried to figure out what it is I like to do. So actually, before I moved to Buffalo, I started building my house, and I had a general contractor come in, and he was an awesome guy. We developed a friendship, and I remodeled my whole basement. So my basement was custom, and I loved that. And so since we built a relationship, he was like, why don't you just come work with me while you're training? So I would go at 6 a.m. I'd go do my workouts. And then I'll be done by 8:30. And then I'd go work with him at 9 to 5. I would work that entire time at demolishing and remodeling houses. So I love that whole fact, the whole remodel houses. The demolition phase is my favorite. I just get to break.
Get a smash.
Right.
That's always my fault. Whenever I watch like all the housing shows and demolition, they get to just take a sledgehammer and smash. That always looks like the most fun to me.
It's so awesome. I loved it. But I was considered like a grunt. So I essentially did another workout while I was working him. So all of the drywall, all of the wood beams, the framings, we would have, and there's no real outside access, all of the stuff. So I would have to, so that would serve as my workout. So I additional workout. So I would bring up like 1,200, 1,300 pounds of lumber up and down 6 flights of stairs on a couple days. Awesome. Bones in and just hammered it out. And after that, after a day's work, I'd go do my second workout at the U. I would go lift. So I'd run in the mornings. I would do all the general contracting stuff during the day, and then I would go lift in the afternoons. So I was training like crazy. So I was in really good shape. I loved it. And then I was just like, what do I love to do? And so I started a nonprofit with some friends of mine. Some of my friends knew that I loved to do community service work. I did a thing every single year called Shop with Sly. I started when I was in Pittsburgh. Take kids shopping. So wouldn't necessarily about 10 to 15 of them shopping every single year, give them $100 gift card, and I just have them go crazy in the store. It's really go through when they're like 7, 8 years old. Dollars. What do I do at that point? And it's truly great. So I started working at that, and then I jumped. I realized that I couldn't make money doing a nonprofit. I love to do it. It's awesome, but I wasn't making any money doing it. So I'm like, okay, bank account, planning for the future, I have to get a job. I have to have something stable to where I can make some kind of money. What do I actually want to do for work? And so I started looking at other things I love. I love to get haircuts. I know it doesn't look like it now, but
hey, I think your haircut looks great, and you got the facial hair going on. So yeah, I think it looks good.
I appreciate it. I'm kind of saving it up. I want a fresh haircut as I walk down the aisle on Thursday. So it's going to be great. But I love to get haircuts, and I love the way it makes me feel after. Even though on the football field, I'm wearing a helmet or something like that. But if I got a haircut, I feel that much more confident and better, and I played better just because I got a haircut. And it was universal. Like during the NFL, we had people come to our hotels or come to the football facility and cut us up before Sunday night football or Monday night football. And it was just a luxury that I just loved. So I was just like, okay, that's awesome. I was like, how many other people feel that way? Started talking with a friend. It's like, man, I have so much trouble communicating with my barber. I wish he would just come to me and cut my hair. And I'm just like, uh-oh. Okay, we got Uber, we got Lyft, we got Grubhub, delivering food, picking people up, transportation, technology. Talking, I was like, what about Uber for barbers, or what about people coming to you to give haircuts? I'm like, oh, that's an idea. So I started exploring, started doing research. My cousin, that we grew up 12 days apart, is our age, and so we grew up together, and the 8 kids in the house. He's a master cosmetologist, so he does men and women's hair. And I just started talking to him. I was like, what are some problems in the industry? What are you guys going through? And, I found out that I have a lot of problems on my side, but they got a lot of problems on their side too. So it was just like, okay, there's a common problem here. Where can I find a solution? So I developed an app that's going to be like Airbnb for cosmetology, as you said. It's to improve and enhance connection in the cosmetology industry. We want people to connect on many different levels. As a client, there's a vetting process. I don't know if I like every single barber. I don't know if I like every single nail technician. But what research do I need to do to find that information out? I wish I could see their portfolios individually. If you go to Google, you're pulling up a salon. And it's like, the salon doesn't cut my hair, the individual does. So yeah, it's a 5-star salon, but you might have a 1-star stylist that ends up cutting my hair. And so that sucks. I need to know who's cutting my hair. It's very important. And I found out that it's a very intimate relationship, client to provider. So, they have to feel comfortable with you. You have to feel comfortable with them. So I created a platform where you can literally find out all the information you need to know about a provider beforehand, and whatever a provider needs to know about their client. What allergies do they have? What pain points do they not want? If they want a certain hair color, if they need all this information about their client, you can do this on this platform that's for easy communication. I sit in a barber shop, and my barber's literally on the phone while he's cutting my hair. It makes my haircut take 15 minutes longer because he has to take those calls. That's business. Sure. And so I was like, what if there was an automated platform that can get him to essentially focus on the client that's in his chair and improve the quality of service? And so that's what we've created. We created a product for barbers, hairstylists, nail technicians, eyelash technicians, makeup artists, estheticians, anybody in the cosmetology industry that performs a service. You can jump on the app, clip, and get clients to come to you, or you can go to the clients.
So that was going to be my question. So you can either still go into their shop or wherever they're set up, and you can still or schedule it that way, or vice versa. You can have them come to you and actually do it in your house. Is that right?
No question. So the key goal is communication, right? We're enhancing all of that. If you're a stylist who's like, I'm cool with being in the shop, I don't want to go out anymore, but I do need more clients. I do need organization. That we're enhancing that communication is letting you know that somebody wants to come to you so they can book in your chair, or this person, say you're a younger stylist, and I was like, look, I make more money being mobile. I don't like to be in the comforts of a salon because all I see is these 4 walls every day. I love networking. I love talking to people. I love getting out, and I'm providing a convenient service to clients. I would come to you. There's so many people out there like that, but there's not a platform to communicate or even know if somebody does that.
So I've got to imagine it's a way for a lot of people that don't have a salon or don't want to be in part of the industry. They want to be independent. They want to be on their own, that they can then start to build up that clientele because they can get a great reputation without having to have a building and a lease or a loan or anything else in order to get going. So that's awesome.
Precisely.
So, well, now as we start to wrap up towards the end of the podcast, and there's always more things I'd like to talk about than ever time to talk about it, but jump to the 2 questions I always ask at the end of the podcast. So the first question I always ask is, so throughout all of your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made, and what did you learn from it?
I've been blessed with a lot of luck. First of all, if you go through my resume, me even getting a scholarship to college, me getting drafted to the NFL, meeting the people that I've met with in my life, I'm lucky. But there are some times where you take some punches and all of that. And as far as an entrepreneur and business, um, I I wouldn't go into business with somebody who didn't invest just as much as you.
Mm.
It's really hard, because there was, and it's not necessarily financials. Everybody has their place at their, but as far as somebody being able to put in the same amount of work as you, the same time, the financials is a huge emotional part of it. But I definitely want somebody that I'm going in level with. It doesn't matter if I'm a millionaire and they're not. I
Mm.
need that. Something needs to be able to be on the same plane. I uh, went through a couple different partners with this, and either they couldn't support me in time, they could support time, energy. The deal is a lot of time for me. Finances, I had to cover for them on some things. So that's my is going into business with somebody who's not willing to put in you.
No, I think that makes great sense. And and I think I liked how you pointed out that, it's not only just are you going to go 50-50 in the money, and not the money is not important for a startup, but it's also, hey, if you're not going in clear and you're saying, hey, I'm going to be doing all the work and I'm putting in 50% in the cash, and it starts to create a tension. And it may even be that the partner is going in thinking that this was well understood, that it wasn't that it was malice or them trying to take advantage. It's just, hey, I didn't realize you were thinking we'd have to both do 40-hour work weeks. I was thinking this would be a side hustle 10 hours a week. And I think that taking that as an idea of a lesson learned is, going in, making that clear and understanding what the expectations are on both ends can oftentimes avoid a lot of contention and a lot of issues with, with different partnerships you may form. So, all right. So we take that. That's the first question I always ask. Now we'll jump to the second question, which is, now you're talking to someone that's just getting into startups, just getting into small businesses. What would be your one piece of advice you'd give them?
My one piece of advice is really cliche. You hear it a lot, but it's really, really true. Believe in yourself. It's simple as that. As I look back on my life and where I have gotten to, and the reason there is is believing in myself. I was the little brother. My older brother, he's 6'6", 6'7", 240, 250 pounds. And he's a specimen. And he was great. And there's as copying when he was getting coached, I was right on the side trying to get better. And so when I got to being, my stature, there was times where I was like, I don't know if I could do all this, but as soon as I was just like, okay, you are better than this. You can do this. You have the ability. It just took off. It all came. Everything that was in my thoughts of me dunking on somebody or me going in between the legs and being LeBron James or being Michael Jordan at that time, I could do that. As soon as I just said, I do have the capabilities. And it went on into college. I started my freshman year because I said, I'm better than all of these guys. And I can come in here and really make an impact. I do have athletic ability. And then when I got to the NFL, I was the first rookie out of Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Jonathan. We had a lot of people on our rookie roster, and I was leading the charge for the rookie class, and it because I was just like determined and I believed in myself and I made it happen. So even in business, when I discounted myself sometimes, oh, you're just an athlete, oh, you don't know much about business, this and that, just believe in yourself and make things happen. It's literally the truth. If you can tell yourself that, you really believe that, not just tell yourself that, but really, really believe it. I think anything is possible, so you can make it happen.
No, I think that's awesome. And interest. I think it's a good point in the sense. So the one thing that I always, and it's either the worst business decision and or the piece of advice a lot of people that I've had on the podcast will give is just get started. And I think that the reason a lot of people don't get started is they're lacking that belief. They don't just believe that they can do it. To your point, is whether it's, hey, I don't have the education, or I don't have the experience, or I don't have the money, or whatever it is. And they start to talk themselves out of why they shouldn't believe in themselves. And to your point, if you just would have that belief, hey, no, I'm as good as anybody out there. I can do it, and I can do it better, and I can make a difference. It makes all the difference in the world, and I think makes or sets you up for success. So I like that. Well, if people want to connect up with you, they want to get on your platform, they want to be be one of the a user, they want to be on your platform to give haircuts or to do other things that you guys provide. Find out more information, reach out to you, any or all of the above. What's the best way to connect up with you?
Social media. I'm not great on social media, but I do answer. So I would connect with me on Stevenson_Sylvester10 on IG, Facebook, Steven Sylvester, or even reach out to my website. Go to my website, www.clipme.com. There's plenty of sources on there to get in touch with me, or my business IG is Clip Official. Somebody could definitely get in touch with me on there. So if anybody has any questions, I love to have these conversations. I love to help people. As I said, was why I started my nonprofit. I give lots of experience. I wouldn't say business advice because I'm not the best at it. I'm still working towards it. I'm still trying to be the best at it. But if anybody wants to know anything with my experiences from athletics to getting started with businesses, I love to have those conversations. So reach out to me on social media, LinkedIn, whatever platform you use, and I'd love to get in touch with you.
Well, awesome. Well, I definitely encourage everybody to reach out to you, connect with you, check out the website, any or all of the above, because I think it's a great journey you've had and a great product and service you're offering now. Well, for those of you that are listeners on the podcast, if you have your own journey to tell, feel free to sign up to tell your journey at inventivejourneyguest.com. We'd love to have you on. If you're a listener, make sure to click subscribe so you can get a notification as all the new episodes come out. And lastly, if you ever need any help with patents and trademarks, feel free to reach out to us at Miller IP Law, and we're here to help. Stephen, thank you for coming on. It's been fun to hear your journey, and wish you the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thanks, Deb. Appreciate it.